over to you, Shivani ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the third edition of RSTC Live Talk. Today, we have two of the eminent speakers from the skill development sector who is going to talk about the possible solutions and way forward, which can help the migrant workers get the employment and industry with the skilled workforce. First of all, let me introduce our speakers to you. Mr. Kunal Silku, IAS Mission Director of Uttar Pradesh State Skill Development Mission. He has done his BTech in Computer Science from IIT Kharagpur and served Indian Administrative Service for past 9 years in various capacities in the state of Uttar Pradesh. Mr. Kunal is just joining us in a meanwhile. And we have Mr. Jaykant Singh from NSTC. He is a civil engineer from Birla Institute of Technology and have 24 years of work experience. His current portfolio at NSTC is Senior Head State Government, Citizen Engagement, and he also heads the implementation of Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana across the country. I welcome both of you to today's RSTC Live Talk, and the topic is the impact of COVID-19 on migrant workers and way forward. As we all can observe and feel that over the last few months, the lives of people around the world has been impacted due to the COVID-19 situation, and especially the daily earners and migrant workers, and on the other side, availability of skilled workforce in the industry. I would like to share that RSTC has connected with the rubber industries across the country to understand about the challenges they have faced. And one of the key issue is the non-availability of workforce as the migrant workers went back to their native place. There are various initiatives and efforts by various central and state ministries to address the issue, and we understand the new concepts are getting developed to transform the implementation strategies across the skilling value chain. Definitely the need of today is the new innovation and ideas to strengthen the future skilling and upskilling for the employment of the youth of our country. So with this note, I'll like to ask my first speaker, Mr. Jaykant Singh, that how NSDC is working with the state skill development missions who are having high migrant workers back into their states, and the vision of NSDC to support these states and industries in creating an ecosystem for skilling the migrant workers. So over to you, Mr. Jaykant Singh.
Thank you, Shivani. Thank you for invite. It's always a pleasure talking on this. It's the most hot topic we have today. Everybody is talking about COVID, and the most important thing and the most impacted lot is our workers who does everything. It ensures, they will ensure the machine is running, the manufacturing is happening, the production is happening, the deliveries, the services happen. So they are at the bottom of the pyramid, and without them, we can't expect movement either of machinery or of goods and services. So definitely we have to be highly concerned about the situation they have just undergone during the COVID period. And we have seen how kilometers, hundreds of kilometers they had to travel. And government is very cautious about it. They are concerned about it. They are pained about it, and taking all relevant steps to ensure that in case of such pandemic situation, how do we ensure that there is no repetition of such a situation? Because even during the partition, we haven't faced this scale of problem. So it's very painful to see what had happened during the COVID situation. But one thing I think we should all agree, that the way we say that only change is permanent in this universe, similarly, migration is also one of the things which we can't do away with. You and I, everybody, almost 100% people, they migrate. But migration is always for betterment. It's a happy situation. When we migrate, we choose it to migrate. But reverse migration is something which is painful, and which we have seen what happened during the COVID situation. So it happens because of compulsion, it happens because of constraint, And when people migrate, this class of people, what we have seen, again, which goes back to the picture what we saw, roti, kapda, makan. The three basic things what human being always struggle for. If we facilitate these three important services to these people, I don't think there will be often a need for migration. So there are a lot of things which government and every people in this country is thinking around, and I believe the ABA, Atmanirbhar Bharat, which our Honorable Prime Minister is trying to focus, people in the country have taken it very positively. And I think every state government and the central government is trying to think through how to make India a self-reliant country in its own. And that, of course, will lead to India being one of the most developed and obviously a powerful country in the world. So how do we do it? Your question was, what is NSDC doing to look into? If you see, there are 6 priority states which government have identified. Bihar has reported 22.45 lakhs of migrants. UP has reported 17.73. So Bihar has got 32 districts, 22.5 migrants or reverse migrants. UP has got 17 or 18 lakhs, 31 districts. MP has got 24 districts, 11 lakhs. Rajasthan, 22 districts, 12 lakhs. Odisha, 4 districts, 2 lakhs. And Jharkhand, 3 districts, 1 lakh. These are reported numbers which have been counted. So people who have returned back through the proper mechanism, like they have gone through the trains, or once they have landed there, they have been quarantined. So their database have been collected. I mean, we must appreciate the effort of the state government to collect this in such a short notice, get its machinery. Mr. Silku had been there, he would be happy, he would have shared more what effort the state governments are putting in. Every department in the state government are working on their toes to connect with all the migrants whosoever. They're also trying to get a detailed report of what their aspirations are, what their experience are, where are they coming from. All these data, I think, are being collated district-wise and are being analyzed. Central government there are multiple ministries in the center who are again collaborating together. I think 10 to 15 ministries are working together to ensure how to provide support to the state government in skilling them, in facilitating self-employment. So state government is trying to identify the beneficiaries, the workers who have gone back, and central government is trying to extend its help in terms of monetary and manpower with organizations like NSDC. All ministries have got their different channels through which they are going to work very closely with the state government to facilitate training of these people. And this would be in 2 modes. One would be a short-term training. So workers, again, if you see the 66 lakh data, what we have got from 116 districts in 6 states, there could be of 3 different categories. One, who are today willing to go back. There are positive cases. This is also a very good situation, and industry should be happy that there are people in Bihar and UP and Jharkhand who are willing to go back, but there would be very few in numbers. There are workers who doesn't want to go back because those who have paint, those who have walked down the lane for hundreds of kilometers, they will take time to return. Similarly, the third category would be that there are people who want to stay back. Now, those who want to stay back, what should they do? So they need to be trained on a short term. And again, either it would be for self-employment or it would be for employment. Now, employment at local level, this should be another challenge to get employment for them at a local level, because people who would have worked outside, they would have earned higher wages than what they would get locally. So there will be a challenge, and they will take time to adjust to the new scenario post-COVID. So again, we have to see the regional and the, now if you go for a survey, if you go to look at the, do a survey of these migrated people, you can see every state has got different geographies, different aspirations, and different economic parameters. If we take the case of UP, Eastern UP, you see lots of migration. There are 32 districts in UP, and most of them are Eastern UP. None of the districts come from Western UP. Western UP is well-to-do in terms of agriculture, in terms of wealth, in terms of education. They are well placed. So we have to understand the aspiration where they would like to, either they want to get into a self-employment or they want to get into a wage employment. Few of them even wants to see that once the crop season is over, they will again go back. So they may require a short intervention, a recognition of prior learning, sort of a training for, let's say, max 80 hours or a 3 days training. And they can undergo this training and stay back, do their cultivation season, and they can go back. So there are different ways how the engagement can happen. Now, NSDC is willing to support and working with the state government in terms of analyzing the data, helping them in skill mapping, helping them in employer connect through our sector skill councils. Of course, rubber is one of them. Logistics has shared around, I think, 40,000, 50,000 jobs they have already shared with us, which we have shared with the state government of Bihar and UP and Jharkhand. So the huge requirement in logistics sector. Now, Reliance Smart, just to mention a few. So they have shared around 80 or 90 employers with 50,000 jobs in next 6 months period. First month itself is around 15,000. Then next month is around 25,000. And the remaining, so you can see there is no dearth of job, but even the type of job will change. Now, if I say in agriculture, if you see in UP itself or in Bihar, it should get mechanized. Now, who have come back from Punjab, they are used to working in a mechanized situation in agriculture farming. Those skill sets, if it goes back to their native place, it will enrich the cultivation method of that location. So the state government should try to hold back skilled manpower which has come back to their state. The semi-skilled and the unskilled, it's for them to decide whether they should stay back or they would like to go back. But the state government, in their interest, they should put in all their efforts to withhold the skilled manpower which has come back to their state. Because I will give you one example. Today I called on a migrant worker in Bihar, and he is skilled, highly skilled in manufacturing of almiras, steel almiras. Now, if he gets a job, he is saying that if I get 2 lakh rupees to start my business, I will stay back. I will give job to 5 people. So it's in the interest of the state to facilitate 2 lakhs to this skilled manpower who can start a business of his own and help the state and the local citizen. So there are so many different types of job roles for which the state would like to hold back the skilled, highly skilled manpower. But for those who are unskilled or semi-skilled, we should leave the choice to them. Wherever it is good for them, they should opt, and we should facilitate. Another challenge which is coming out, if you think of the workers going back to the employer, we have to see the compensation pattern. Now, dignity of work is something which has to be thought through. And as I said, most location of country developed, if you look at US, it has developed because they have taken the best of the mind from the world. And that's how US is today. If you go to Bangalore, if you see Gurgaon, if you see Delhi, all metropolitans have got people, qualified people coming out from different rural locations and settling out here. So migration is healthy, migration is good, but we have to be cautious. When you have got mass migration, then dignity of labor gets compromised. Then the wage level gets compromised. And that's how we have to be. The state government also have, the way we have got embassies, few states have to think through wherever there is larger chunk of migration happening. We should have embassies within the country who would take care of their larger mass of people so that such pandemic situation, if it comes up, proper care could be taken, and also dignity of labor and the employment conditions are provided, right employment compensations are provided. All those things could also be looked into. I think states like UP have already started, Odisha have already started. Mr. Silku is here. He will highlight on the efforts being taken in on such a large state like UP, and they have taken so many good decisions and started so many new things which are so friendly for the workers in the state. If you would have seen that we have already started a portal called Swadesh, and which takes database of migrant workers coming from abroad. We have got now calls from all big employers to tap these resources who are coming from abroad because they are highly skilled, and bigger employers want to tap them and engage them. So there are employers who are looking forward. So there is an opportunity. Post-COVID is bringing lots of new opportunities. If I talk about electronic sector, they are looking that if a lakh of villages have to be digitized, so many new types of job roles will come up. So similarly, if there are like LED street lighting, telemedicine. Now telemedicine is something which is coming up, and the doctors as well as the patient, they both want to maintain a distance. So telemedicine will boom up like anything. Huge requirement. Now Wi-Fi, hotspot, the way things are happening over, the way we are going for digitization. Again, there will be a good number of people required for the infrastructure as well as for the maintenance. The smartphone technician, if you see the way the usage of smartphones have gone because of your online learning, online marketing. So many technicians are required. If you broadband is, so many people are required in that. So project-based internship will also come up. It will also give us a lot of opportunity. And if we see post-COVID in manufacturing like ventilators, sanitizers, all these things are also giving us new opportunity in the sector. Food processing, if we see, now this is something which I would submit it to Mr. Silku also, that if we want to give self-employment to the workers who have migrated, we have to promote food processing and allied activities in agri. Now, if we are talking about food processing, baking, fruit and vegetable selection, traditional savories and snacks, these are something which will have huge requirement, and it requires a small funding like 50,000 to 2 lakh to 3 lakh. So these are very nano sort of entrepreneurship which could very well be set up, and this is something which will facilitate local opportunity to so many people, and it will boost the local economy as well. As we say, let's get vocal on local. So there are so many things which we can do together, and if I have to talk about other efforts which NSDC is doing, we are trying to connect with SIDBI. SIDBI has set up Swavalamban Kendra. Now, this is Swavalamban Kendra will help to identify local interested people who are aspiring to become entrepreneurs. This panwala and all these smaller people, very, very nano category of people. Now, SIDBI will do they are setting up in every district this Swavalamban Connect, and they will do a mentoring, they will do Fund Connect, they will do Skill Connect, they will do Market Connect. So they are again going to help in a long way. So we are trying to work with SIDBI also. Wherever we do a skilling, we would work with this Swavalamban Kendra, which will help us to handhold these people and also help them to get desired fund from the market. So And if we invest, in case of food processing, if we invest 10 lakh, it creates job opportunity for 2 people, that is direct job opportunity, and at least 7 job opportunities for indirect. So this is the, I mean, if we focus on these sectors like food processing and agri, and I'm telling you the compensation which Honorable Prime Minister has come up in the 20 lakh package, MSME has already started to fund under the Spurti project up to 5 crores. And this will again lead to generation of lot of job opportunities. And these are primarily into food processing and others. And NSDC definitely with the state government is trying to work with the district collectors for facilitating short-term training and RPL in the listed 116 districts, which the first list which we have come up, this has got around 66 lakh people, as I told you, migrant workers listed. 31 district is from Uttar Pradesh itself, 32 from Bihar. So all these efforts are being met, and I'm sure this will lead to a lot of job opportunities for those who want to come back. They have to undergo a short RPL, and those who want to stay back and want to do something local, we will see whether they want to go for a wage employment or they want to start their own project or entrepreneurship, something. We can help them in connecting with lead bankers. We have to work with NABARD. It has to be an integrated approach with the lead bankers, NABARD, state government, and training partners to give all the desired support which the migrant workers need today. That's the need of the hour. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jaikant. It was very encouraging to hear that NSDC and state governments have already created policies to create an environment for escalating the recovery by reverse migration and skilling at source or at the migration state itself. And the policies which has been created for Swadesh and Swalamban is definitely very encouraging. And the sectors like rubber, definitely we can go forward and skill these migrant workers and get them back to our rubber industry. So we have Mr. Kunal Silku, IAS Mission Director from Uttar Pradesh State Skill Development Mission. Welcome, sir, to RSTC Live Talk. Sir, I would thank you, sir. Sir, I would like to ask you that Uttar Pradesh being one of the state with highest number of migrant workers coming back, so how the State Skill Development Mission is addressing the concern of creating livelihood for the migrant workers by skilling and upskilling them? Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shivani ji. I think I am audible.
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Okay. In UP, as you rightly told, we have got a very huge population of migrant workers. We began a bit early because when migrants started coming, so they were coming through various modes. Initially, they were also coming on foot, but our government was very quick to realize this, and we had opened shelter camps on our bordering districts. Thereafter, we also provided buses and trains for even also for internal migration between UP. So that way, we could able to capture the initial data of the migrants, because when they were coming to our bordering districts shelter homes, their entire data was captured, and while the data was being captured, we also captured their skill sets, and we also captured that in which districts will they be actually going and staying. So that way a data came to us which was a sort of a skill mapped data. Right now, if I tell you, we already have around 7 lakh skilled data. And when I'm saying skilled data, this is not family. These are the skilled people. Because the family, that the number of people which we have enumerated is more than around, I guess, 30 lakhs. But out of that, 7 lakh people we have actually found who are skilled in various sets. So initially, UP worked on this side. We were working on mapping the skill sets. Once the skill sets were mapped, then the second stage was now how to utilize this skill map data to best of its ability and best of our opportunities available. As you can understand that many of these people are working in such industries which are not found in our UP. They have come from Bombay, they have come from Delhi, they have come from other southern states. They have been working in areas, sectors which are found in UP but only in NCR region. Maybe it's not found in the eastern part of UP. So a lot of challenges was there, like how to map them. So we went across the following 3-4 strategies. Firstly, I'm telling only about migrant laborers. So we found out that out of these migrant laborers, who are those migrant laborers who basically can provide services at doorstep, like a person who is a plumber, a person who is an electrician, maybe some person is skilled, maybe some person is skilled in the rubber sector. If he is a tire changer, he can set up some small shop in vicinity of a neighborhood. So that way we figured out that what are the trades which we can actually utilize, in which door to door services can be facilitated or given. So we could identify around 100 such trades, and we could divide these people in 100 of such trades. We started a platform called Seva Mitra. Seva Mitra app has already been made, and the Seva Mitra app has also been put up on Google Play Store. The iPhone version is under pipeline. It is going to come out soon. So Seva Mitra is there for any person of UP to download. And once you download the Seva Mitra app, then it's a very seamless app, more like Yellow Pages or Just Dial. You can simply select your district and maybe filter down more to your block and your urban local areas, and then you can figure out. You can choose your trade. Suppose if you need carpenter or plumber or electrician or cook or driver, anything. So you can just choose that category, and you will get a list of all those people falling in that skill set and in that reason which you have chosen. Then you can call them and accordingly employ them or give them jobs. So this way we have actually tried to connect the customer to customer. C2C app, we have developed this thing. We have also given feature for any person to register. Now see, when we made this platform, it was not limited to migrant laborers. Right now we have kick-started the platform with data of migrant laborers, but then it can be used by other laborers also, who are the other people. So they can also register themselves. This app is basically for the user side, the customer like me and you, who will be actually employing these electricians, plumbers, carpenters, and drivers. So that is why we have actually created this common service center. We have common service center in almost each village. Few villages even have more than one common service center. As you know, common service center are initiatives of Government of India, and they are the single point for availing all kind of services, be it birth certificate, death certificate, be it a copy of Khatoni, or so and so forth. So we are also under the process of integrating this service with common service center. And now if you have to register yourself as a worker, you simply need to go to the common service center of your village, and you can get yourself registered. Right now, since this is still under process, so right now the registration process is happening two ways. One, we are making use of Nigrani Samiti. Actually, in UP, we made Nigrani Samitis in each village. These Nigrani Samitis are basically mandated to keep people who are coming from outside states, to ensure that they are remaining in home quarantine for 21 days. In UP, we are home quarantining all laborers or all migrants who have come out from different states in their own home for 21 days of time. So these Nigrani Samitis have been given the task of ensuring that they remain in home quarantine. They don't break it. And if they have any problems in staying at home, suppose they have less supply of food or ration, or they have some other issues, then the Nigrani Samiti will take care of that also. So more like hand holding as well as supporting these people who have come back. So these Nigrani Samitis are facilitating us in registering these migrant laborers or their skill sets if they want to register. See, now this is the second level of registration. The first level registration happened when they were coming and when they had stayed in the shelter home of the bordering districts. That was the first level. The second level registration is happening at these in these villages through Nigrani Samitis. And the third level is through our employment officers who are posted in each district. So those district employment officers, they are also impaneling, or they are also registering these service providers. They may be migrant, they may be non-migrant, but right now we are focusing on migrant workers. So this is how we are trying to bring these people on board the Seva Mitra application. So this is already live. We have a Seva Mitra app running. If you will download it right now, you will find around 70,000 skilled people are there. The 7 lakh data which is there, we are trying to, because that is the true data which has come from shelter homes. So we are using our help lines, and we are verifying that data. And as and when those data are getting verified, we are pushing this data onto our Seva Mitra platform. But right now also 70,000 data is there in various skill sets. It can be used. The other approach which we have followed in UP is we have shared this database of 7 lakh with various departments of Uttar Pradesh, like MSME department, like industries department, like our construction agencies, with rural development department. So we shared this database because all of these departments are basically the employment generating departments. These people actually generate employment. So like MSME is a very big employer. They are in need of lot of skilled people. So these skilled people are being absorbed in with these various departments. So departments are also taking a leading role and ensuring that all of these people get employed. To give you an example, a demand of almost 1 lakh tailors came from Noida. It was a pretty huge number, and even if we include the migrant, as you can understand, Noida is basically place for in migration. We don't have too much out migration from Gautam Buddha Nagar. So there the data was less, but then they said, Ki, don't worry, you give us the data of whole state and then we will take it up forward. So then we provided them with 1 lakh tailors. So they are taking it up forward then. So things like this. So this is the second approach. The third approach which we have figured out how to help these migrant laborers, in here comes the role of re-skilling or upskilling or skilling for the first time. Right now we are in the process of launching another app called Abha app. This Abha app is basically a sort of acronym for Atmanirbhar Bharat. So we have chosen this name Abha from there. And this app is basically by using this app, we are trying to target again our migrant workers and laborers. In this, what we are doing, various government schemes have been launched in this period also, like 10,000 loan scheme is there. These street vendors can take loan of 10,000 rupees, and then they can start their own small stall, or they can have a thela which they can use. So things like this. Plus, we have a Mudra Shishu loan. We have other government schemes coming forward now to facilitate these street vendors, these small shopkeepers who want to set up their shop. So using this app, what we are trying to do, we are trying to create a lot of videos, a lot of online tutorial kind of thing, in which, just by clicking at those videos, these persons will be able to, it is all in Hindi. It's all in, some videos are in animation also, some are in proper recorded visuals. So that way you will get a fair idea that what are the schemes which the government is providing. And also we are basically creating one video for each livelihood which you can attain. Like right now, we have made a presentation for these street vendors, these ready thela wala guys. So we have actually told them that, how to actually procure a thela. If you don't know how to procure a thela in UP, how can you? Because suppose that person was he was a street vendor in Banaras, in Bombay. But when he came to UP, let us say he came to Banaras now, so he has not carried his thela along with him. Now, right now, he is without any of his utilities. So then how he can procure a thela, how he can actually, what all businesses can be done using a thela, from where he can purchase vegetables, or from where he can purchase fruits, from where he can, from at what point he can sell, how to use these UPIs and digital payment techniques to ensure social distancing, how to use mask, how to use sanitizer, and things like this. So we have tried to cover up all the aspects of, if you want to set up a thela, then what is the way to go forward. See, a lot of things are intuitive, but some are not. Even if you want to have a ready or thela, there are a lot of government guidelines or things which you might not be otherwise knowing. So using these videos, you will get to know all those things. Now we will be coming up with other projects like plumber, like electrician. So we'll be keeping this livelihood thing in mind. So we are creating these small videos which will actually guide a person in a livelihood of his interest. And in the same app only, we have also given that person a point to register himself for any upskilling. We have provided a list of around 50 skill trades which are relevant for these migrant labors. We have not given computer science and like graphic designing kind of courses. We have given only those courses which are relevant for these guys. We have in fact 10 sectors, and in those 10 sectors we have around 50 courses are there. So in these 50 courses, the person can put his interest. He can put his interest in almost three of these sectors in his district. And so then if we will have reasonably good number of interests in within coming from a particular district, so we will try and arrange training, RPL based trainings in those districts. We are also UP is also trying to expand its training capacity by also allowing NSDC impaneled training partners and sector skill councils impaneled training partners. Right now, UP was closed to any training partner who was not impaneled with UP government, with UP SDM per se. But now we are proposing, we are moving up a file and we are hoping that positive results will come. We are moving a proposal saying that even if the person is registered with SSCs or with NSDC, we will allow them to train in UP. So that way we want to expand our training horizon, and we want to come in, come in a big way in RPL, because all these migrant workers will require RPL training to a large extent. They don't have 3 months or 6 months of time for proper classroom classes, and plus they are also traditionally skilled. So a RPL or maybe a bridge course of 3 to 10 days of time will be the best way to go forward. So that also we have identified. We are working on that. I mean, yesterday only we started training around 14,000 textile. We started teaching this stitching courses to NRLM women. They also included those women who came back, who migrated back to their homes. So we basically made small groups, and we tried to include those migrant women's into our earlier made groups, so that there should not be a completely new group which has been made today. Maybe the group was already having 5-6 women candidates, and the group was running. So we added 2 more, and we made it around 10. The number is around 10, so that they can also they can immediately get to their production and marketing thing. So and since, as you know, because a lot of school dress is stitched every year in every village, so we are trying to train these SHG women so that now they can supply these school dresses to our government schools. So this training we have already started. We are going to very soon. We are going to begin this RPL based training for pump operator, because now as we see, we are having these piped water supply pipelines coming up in each villages. So it will require a pump operator to actually operate those pipelines, and plumbers will also be required for laying down these pipelines. So we are also tying it up with corresponding SSC to train people in these sectors. We'll be very happy to associate with Rubber Sector Skill Council, and if we can find out some courses, because with these many people coming back to UP, there will be a lot of requirement for a lot of people can actually be employed in this motor vehicle repair and this tire changing and these kind of sectors. So we'll be very happy to associate with RSDC, and maybe if you will be having your impaneled training partners, you are anyways our assessing body. So then those impaneled training partners can also provide training in rubber sector in RPL mode. So this was the third approach which we are actually trying, in which we are trying to facilitate our migrant workers by by hand holding them, by showing them few videos, by trying to tell them about various government schemes, by also trying to skill them if possible, if they need some skills in RPL mode. So all of these efforts are being made. So as I told you, we covered the proper wage employment by saying that we have shared their database with various departments. So those departments will be facilitating them in finding a proper job, because we are sharing data of all skills. So if a person like accountant has come back, a person like computer operator has come back, so they will be adequately absorbed in MSME or industry or any of the other works. As far as their door-to-door service is concerned, we have already started Seva Mitra application. And as far as the person who are trying to work in livelihood and self entrepreneurship kind of model, for them we are bringing out with this Abha app. UP government has also launched a concept called CM Yuva. CM Yuva is a concept of, we can also call it Yuva Hub. This was a scheme announced this year in our budget by Honorable Chief Minister, sir. And this CM Yuva Hub concept specifically aims towards entrepreneurship and livelihood. And in this Yuva Hub scheme, we say that if you are a skilled person, if you have got a skill certificate from anyway, be it RPL certificate, be a UPSGM, be it a PMKY certificate, be it a ITI, Polytechnic or Engineering College certificate. If you are a skilled youth, then, and if you want to start a startup or self-employment on venture, if you want to start, you simply come to our portal and just apply. Then our district team will facilitate you in developing your project report, and we will help you get a government loan from so many. There are plethora of departments. There are, around 15-20 departments are there who are giving loans or facilitating people in various employment schemes, be it MSME, be it rural development, be it fisheries, be it, you name, be it banks. There's so many departments who are basically providing loans to all these self-employment ventures. But then there's no common single platform. The person has to approach each and every office separately. Plus, since the DPR is made by the person himself, he has got limited imagination, and that is why a lot of projects get cancelled when they actually reach the bank stage. Banks find that these projects are not worth funding. So we have tied up with IIM Lucknow, and IIM Lucknow is helping us in developing nice templates of doable projects, these doable businesses, startups which can be made, which can be started by these people. And the moment the skilled person comes, he is groomed, he is handheld, he is given training also, he is provided support. We are giving them the support of CAs. Our CA will be there, and those CAs will be actually making their detailed project reports. And when those DPRs will be made, during the making of DPR process only, we will be associating with banks and the corresponding funding department, so that at that stage only that DPR gets a go ahead, that okay, fine, this it is bankable. And then we will go to bank, and then in a time bound manner, it's all tech platform is there. In a time bound manner, the person will be given loan, and thereafter he will also be handheld for another 1 year of time. They will be getting calls, regular calls, and he will be seeing that his business run properly for next 1 year of time. So this Yuva Hub portal will be live in, I think, in next 3 months of time. Our SI has come and the work has begun. So again, this portal will also help maybe not migrant workers immediately, but those migrant workers who now wish to stay back in UP and who have got a proper skill set, or they have got some certificate, so they can also take use of this Yuva Hub portal, and they can actually avail bank loans and all those things which can be done. So a lot of work has been done in UP as regard the skilled workers are there. So I think I've taken a lot of time. So maybe I would like to stop here for some time now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kunal. It was very encouraging to know that Uttar Pradesh has already done so much of efforts and created the database of migrant workers and mapped their skill sets also. The data is readily available, I think, for the industry, and come forward and hire these people in the state of Uttar Pradesh. I think we are running short of time, so I may not able to take all the questions what our audience has asked for, but I like to take one question to both of you, that what kind of possible improved skilling models are you suggesting right now to the sector skill councils and training partners as well in the skilling ecosystem, looking at the current COVID-19 environment? So, Mr. Kunal, would you like to address first?
Shivani ji, I got cut in between. Can you please repeat your question?
Sir, I have asked that what can be the possible improved skilling models that you suggest that sector skill councils should come forward looking at the current COVID-19 environment? We should re-strategize our models for training?
Definitely, Shivani ji, because as we see, this COVID thing has changed the way how we function to a great extent. One remarkable change which we should be doing is in the mode of training. Our current trainings are completely dependent on brick and mortar system. I know it is understandable that we require, because skilling can't be taught online and there has to be a physical component, it has to be a lab component. But then there can be, concepts like lab on wheels kind of thing. And there might be a concept of mixed form of instruction, in which some of the instructions can be provided online and the other instructions can be provided in a mobile fashion on wheels. Because a lot of people are actually not in this COVID thing, because of social distancing, and when lockdowns happened, a lot of things happened. So when we were wanting to actually train people in this period, so we realized that right now NSDC or the MSDE, all of them don't recognize any online training. So I think that NSDC should actually work on ways like how can we recognize these online trainings. Maybe we can choose few sectors in which online trainings will be more successful. Maybe we can choose few sectors in which there can be a combined approach. Maybe some section of the training can be done through online mode, the other part can be through physical classrooms. Those physical classrooms can be through a mobile lab or mobile classes kind of thing, that it can reach to that person. Because see, access is a big issue. Suppose if I am living in a particular village and I want to learn tailoring, but within 5 kilometers I only have computer center, so I cannot learn tailoring. Maybe the tailoring center lies in another district, or it lies around 100 kilometers away from us. So we cannot learn that. But it does not, this limitation is not there if we go for formal schooling. Every school will teach you from 1 to 12. So it is a big limitation which happens when we go for skilling things. So maybe our training courses maybe so accordingly changed, our methodology may be so changed, so that our access becomes more wide. More people are actually able to join our trainings. We are able to reach more number of people. So this is one of the suggestions. And otherwise there's also a need of doing short term skilling in a big way, because 3 months skilling becomes a bit becomes a bit burdening also. And going by the kind of employment figures which we have, even 3 months of skilling is not providing very good employment scenarios. We are in the 30-40% level. So I think it is a good time to experiment with these short terms, 3 days, 10 days training, and let us see at how it can actually help us in achieving employment. That's all.
Mr. Jaikan, the same question is to you as well. We'd like to know your views.
Answer should almost be the same. However, I would just like to add. See, I totally agree with Mr. Silko. We should have the lab on wheels. Brilliant idea. We must do it. At the same time, we should also look for nearby infrastructure. Let's take the case of tire repair. We could find a tire repair shop very nearby. So can we facilitate assessment at these centers? Can we facilitate exposure? So it's more going back to a historical, traditional way of doing the Guru Shishya Parampara. We should try to bring in the Ustad concept, we should bring in. And instead of this having a batch of 30 and 20, we may have post-COVID scenario, because we never know when. Today it's in a green zone, tomorrow it becomes a containment zone, day after it becomes a red zone. So this problem will be there whenever we talk of batches and how to facilitate that. We will have a huge problem, for SSCs to conduct assessment, for us to say that batch has been complete. There could be severe dropouts. So there are so many challenges. Mr. Silko, I would just like to say that our ministry has worked upon, and Shivani will agree that we have had a very detailed discussion with all sector skill council on how to conduct assessment in this situation of COVID and post-COVID when we open. So the 3 types of modes which we talked about for delivery, one is 100% classroom, another is 100% online, and the third is the blended model. So for all these things, we need to see the readiness. If we say we want to go online, in this scenario, again, there are constraints that all of them might not have the tools by which they could have an access. Data, battery, power connectivity, all those are a problem today. So the target segment for which we are dealing or facilitating these trainings, we have to take into account their constraints as well, that what percentage of them are ready for an online training. And when you do an online training, we will have a learning management system, so it will require high speed, high data, and again it costs to them. So people, they are already under cash crunch. Where will they pay the data from? So all these things have been thought through. We have developed a guideline, but we have to see that can we implement it in this post-COVID scenario immediately, or should we take some time to gear ourselves and then we should do that. So there are guidelines prepared for blended, for online, and it's all government is trying to weigh it, that should we do it today or should we do it when the things stabilizes. And I'm sure in next 6 months we will have all these models in place definitely, and by the time we will. But apprenticeship is something, through the Guru Shishya and the STAR model. This is, as you rightly said, Mr. Silku, that the reach should be increased. This is the way how we can increase the reach of the people. And it's, when we talk of a skill, it's, hands-on experience, the ability to deliver, the ability to do, and that will come only when we do it on the ground, when we only, get our hands dirty doing it. And that will happen only through apprenticeship. So I think the way we have to promote the skilling, if I ask Shivani, can we do a tire repair without a hands-on exposure? We can't. But definitely there are certain sectors like banking, completely we can do it online. Media, certain sectors we could do online. IT, certain sectors we could do online. So we have identified those sectors and trades, as well as the assessment model, that how can assessment happen for these trades. So those exercises have been done. Let's see when is the right time for the government to decide to put in operation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jaikant. So we are running short of time. With this positive note, we would like to conclude our session here. It was very encouraging to listen to both of you, and hearing that so many policies and activities has been taken place by NSDC and Uttar Pradesh State Skill Development Mission. And Sector Skill Council will definitely like to collaborate and come forward to do trainings for the rubber sector. I would also like to thank our audience who have joined us in today's session, and I hope they have gotten insightful inputs from our speaker. I would like to thank you, Mr. Kunal and Mr. Jaikant, for sparing their time and sharing your valuable inputs with us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shivani ji.
Thank
Stay
you.
healthy,
Thanks
safe, and goodbye. Thank you so much.
Thanks, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jaikant ji. Thank you so much.
Thank-
It was nice
thank
seeing you
you.
again sometime.
And we would look forward to work with you for, we will let's take up a cluster of 10 districts and have a call with them, that how we can engage together in delivering the RPL and the short term and in this scenario in the 31
Sure.
districts which has
It will be
come
a
up.
pleasure.
We will talk
Sure.
to you separately. Thank you.